Well, hello there. So now that we can send messages, let's start to actually receive messages. Because right now, if we go to a chat and we send a message, if we receive one, there's nothing to handle whether we're going to receive it or not. Now, this is the exciting part. Yay. We're going to use subscriptions in GraphQL. So let's get to that. Okay, let's go to our code. I'm going to start by creating an entry in the type definitions. So go to type defs, and here under the mutation type, we're going to add the subscription type. So type subscription, and here we're going to have a subscription that returns a new message when it's created. So we'll call it new message, and this will, not a string, this will return a message, and that's required, and that's it there. I'll save that, and let's go to the messages resolvers. And here at the bottom, after this mutation block or object, we're going to add the subscription object. So subscription, and that's going to be an object. And here we'll have our new message subscription resolver. And this will be, oh, I mistyped, new message. And this will be like any other resolver. So we're going to get a parent, which will not use, arguments, which we don't have any, and we need from the context, we need to extract, or actually for now, let's just leave it empty. I want to demonstrate the subscription first. And the way subscriptions work, we need to return a pub/sub iterator. And if you're not familiar what pub/sub is it's a very like kind of simple protocol where applications can publish information, not specifically to anyone that's listening, which is a subscriber, can listen to it and receive it. It's kind of like a radio. They just broadcast stuff. So here, actually we need to instantiate an instance of this. So we can import this from Apollo. So I'll go up here, not import, const, and we'll need, what is it? Pub sub, like this, Pascal cased, and this equals require Apollo server. And we're gonna make an instance here. So let's say const pub/sub, all lowercase, pub/sub equals new pub/sub, like this. And now here we can use that, and we can say pub/sub dot what is it, async iterator, and we'll pass it an array, and this is an array of events, and the event that we're going to create is going to be called new underscore message, like this, all uppercase. Now we need to fire this event, and each time we fire this event and we send some information with it, this subscription will actually receive it and send it to whoever is subscribed. So we can fire that from here when we send the message. So down here, when we create the message in the database, we can fire that here, and we'll say pub/sub here dot publish. And this will take the name of the event, which will be new underscore message. And the payload will be an object with a key called new message. And this will be the message that we created right here. So let's save that. And this should work. And, or actually, no, it won't work. I forgot. We need to go to here in the index. We need to actually receive subscriptions as well. So we'll say subscription here, and we'll just copy this, just spread the subscriptions of messages. There we go. And if you have subscriptions for users, you can add that as well. We don't right now, so I'm just going to leave it like that. So we go to the app. Actually, we need to go to the Graphql Playground, and let's open a new tab. And here, let's say subscription, and we'll call this new message. Actually, we didn't even need to go a name, whatever. So new message, and this returns a message type. So we can take the UID, the from, the to, the content, and the created at, and we send it, and it says subscription field must return an async iterable. It doesn't? It does, no? Oh, actually, I know why. I actually fell for this myself. This needs to be in an object. Subscriptions are different in that you create an object, and you use a key called subscribe, and then you pass it the resolver like this. Subscribe, and now it should work. And go back, and if we start this, it's actually, listen, actually, I'm just going to refresh. So we start it, we get this, and now it's listening because this is over WebSockets. It's not a request. It's just going to be listening each time it receives something. It's going to show it to us. So let's leave it like that. And now here, I'm going to log in case that token is expired, get this token, and go here, add that token as a header. And I'm going to send a message. So this is John, and here as well. Oh, that's fine, actually. We haven't done that yet. Don't worry. So I'll send a message to Jane called this. Actually, I was testing the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. There we go, that's sent. And now we receive it here. So even if I send another one, the jumps over the lazy dog again, I send that, we receive it here as well. That's cool. This is actually still bugged. I can't scroll through it. So I hope they fix it soon. But yeah, we received both those messages. Now, of course, this is completely insecure because, first of all, our user needs to be authenticated for them to see these messages. So let's actually implement that. Let's go to in server. Actually, not in server. There's two ways of doing authentication for subscriptions. Let's go to the documentations. Let's go to Apollo server and let's go here, fetching data, subscriptions. And here it shows you how to create the pub sub, to add subscription and then publish. And then here it shows us a way on how we can handle, like we can get that connection object from the subscription and handle stuff with authentication. And also there's this other method, which I personally don't like, where you add the subscription key. Maybe it's useful for some, use cases, but to me, it seems like we're going to just write the same code in two places. But so for our app, I'm going to use this approach. And I'll show you how that works. And let's go to the util context middleware. And here the way it works is if this is a mutation or a query, that means we're going to get it over HTTP. So we're going to have this request object. But if it's a subscription, we're going to get it over WebSockets. So we're going to have a different object. We're not going to have this request, and we're going to have this connection object. So we just simply need to check for that. So we'll say else if context dot connection. So if we do have a connection, that means this is a subscription. And we also need to check for the authorization, the auth token. So we'll say, now the auth token will come as part of a payload. And it's not a HTTP header, but I'll just put it in the same key name. Here we'll check for context.connection.context. So the connection itself has its own context, and which is the payload that we sent. And here we'll check for a key called authorization. And I'll explain a bit more about this in a second. And here, if we do have this key, that means the token will be there. We need to store it in this token variable. But I'm actually going to move this piece of code down here. And I'm going to declare a token variable here and assign it here because we can find it in two places. And then here, if this is the case, we're going to assign the token to the value of context.connection.context.authorization. And now, if we get the token either way, we're going to decode the user from it and add it to the context. So that's fine. On top of this, I'm actually going to add the pub/sub instance here. So we can go back to messages resolver and we can remove it from here. So both the import and the instantiation call, and we can paste those here, and we can attach this pub/sub to the context right here. Context.pub/sub equals pub/sub. And save that. And what this does is here, each time we are in a different resolver file, we don't need to instantiate that pub/sub again. It's always in the context whenever we need it. So here we actually need to get it from the context for it to work. So pub/sub, and now we can use it here. And the same thing goes for here. So we get parents, we omit them, args, we omit them. And here we can, from the context, we destructure pub/sub. And this should work exactly the same. So let's go to the context middleware. So now we're getting our user as, yeah, we are. We're adding it here to our context. So we can check for it in the subscription resolver. So down here. So let's make this into a code block and remove the comma and close that code block. And here we need to return this now that we're inside of curly braces. And before we return it, I want to check if the user is authenticated. And that's easy. We just say if, let's actually destructure the user from the context, comma, user. And here we'll say if not user, then we simply throw a new authentication error and say unauthenticated. And let's save, and that should work. So if we go here to our, I'm going to refresh to get rid of that. If we start this, we get unauthenticated. And now we need to provide an auth token. So I'm just going to copy this from here and open HTTP headers. And oh, there was an old token there already. By the way, don't let this confuse you. These are not HTTP headers, even though it says that here. This is a subscription, so it's sent over WebSocket. Actually, I'm going to show you. So let's open the DevTools. Let's go to network and clear everything. And by the way, you're going to see this every 2 seconds, this polling. This is just an introspection query that the Playground sends to get the schema. You can disable it. I found that sometimes it slows my laptop down. So you can just go to the settings and set this to false and save. Save the settings. And now what you can do instead, you can go here. It doesn't send that introspection query again, but each time you change your code, you can manually refresh the schema like that, and it will actually send that query. All right, apart from that, here, if we start our subscription, it still says unauthenticated. Let's check, it's probably the context middleware. Here we get the token, we assign it. Oh, okay, so here, oh, I messed up. So here, the token, I'm gonna send it here as a bearer token as well. So we need to split the string. And actually, this reminds me here, this shouldn't be just like that. We need to check for token, because if we don't have a token, then we're not gonna try to set the user because there's no token anyway. So we wrap it in f token, and let's go back. This should work now. So I'm just gonna refresh, and I'll send this. All right, cool. So it goes through with the token, but if I try to invalidate the token, I'm gonna change this y to x, for example, and send. Cool, it says unauthenticated. So we need to be authenticated for us to be able to listen to our messages. This is not everything about this. We need to actually do another way, another level of like checking, because now this subscription is sending all the messages. We don't need to, it's not like any authenticated user can get all messages. You know, like if I'm authenticated as John, I should only get messages for myself or the ones I sent. So now we need to check whether this user has the right to see this message or not, and then we send it back. And for this, we're going to use something called, I don't find it actually. I'm going to search for with filter. Yeah, we're going to use subscription filters, because now we need to determine whether this data should be returned to our user or not. So we need to import this with filters. I'm going to copy that import statement. Actually, maybe I shouldn't have copied it because I already have like, yeah, I'm just going to add this here with filter. And now we need to wrap our resolver with this with filter function. So we can simply just cut our resolver and say with filter. And then it takes the resolver that returns the async iterable as the first argument. And so we paste that in. And then the second argument will be a filter function. And I'll show what it does. So this takes the exact same arguments as the resolver. So we're going to need, so parent, we're going to use parent, because this will hold the data that is forwarded. So here we can say, what is this, parent, and the second will be args. So we don't have any args, so we just put like a underscore. And from the context, we're going to get the user, and we're not going to need the pub sub. So let's just leave it at that and do an arrow. And inside of here, we need to check whether this logged in user, their username is the same as either the from or the to of the message that we're broadcasting. If not, we're not going to give the message. It doesn't belong to them. Otherwise, we're going to actually send it to them. And here in this filter function, we need to do some logic and then return either true or false, like a regular, JavaScript filter function, but, as a wrapper. So here we can simply say if, and we'll check for the new message. Actually, we can destructure it from the parent. Remember, we broadcasted that here. So that's the object that we get. So we can get the new message from it. So let's destructure new message from the parent. And we're going to check if new message dot from equals the user dot username. Then actually we need to check as well the two, so we can just copy this this whole thing one more time. Oh, I actually didn't copy that, paste it, and here will be the messages dot from dot to rather. So if either these is true, then we just return true. Otherwise, we return false. So let's save. And now let's go test that. So here, I'm just going to refresh, close the DevTools. Now this is John's token. So I'm going to start listening. And now this is John's token as well. So if I send a message to Jane, I'm just going to replace all of this with just some, the quick fox. That's it. All right, we get the quick fox message. And now if I log in, let's say as boss, and now I get boss's token, and I paste it here. And now from boss, I'm going to message Jane, say boss to Jane, send that. And we don't actually receive it because it's not our message. It's not either to us or from us. So that's cool. Now, users are protected from messages being leaked to other users. So we're done with the actual backend. So now we need to actually consume it in our front end and add the message here once it's sent. So now we can close this. We can close the type defs, everything that has to do with the server. And let's go to our client folder in the source. First thing actually we need to do is in the Apollo provider, we need to add a way for us to connect over WebSockets, because connecting over WebSockets is not the same as connecting over HTTP. So let's go to the documentation and let's actually go to Apollo client now. And let's go to fetching subscriptions. And here it should tell us how to set up the... Yeah, okay. Here it tells us that we need this package, subscription transport, WebSockets. So let's cut that or paste it or copy it rather. And here I'll inside the client. So cd client, I'll run npm install and paste that and let it install. And we need to also configure a WebSocket link. So let's copy this, all of this. And here in our Apollo provider, actually let me close these. I'm going to paste that in and I'm going to actually cut this and bring it a bit down. Here it should be fine. So we need to change this. Ours is localhost 4000 and this needs to be /GraphQL because that's where the WebSockets connects to. And we need to also add our token. So there should be an example here. Yeah, here it tells you can add connection parameters. So we can copy that. I could have typed it actually, but whatever. So our connection params, like I said, that was not a HTTP header. We can call it anything, but I will still call it authorization. And here we're going to send our token, which is the token from local storage. And actually here we'll say local storage because we don't have access to this. It's inside of that set context. And be careful, by the way, don't do this. I did this before. Where you declare you find your token there, and then you give it to this function. This will have a problem if you actually change your token midway somehow. You log out or something, and when you haven't refreshed the page, this will not have access to this. This never executes again. This executes once at the beginning, but this does every time a query or mutation is run. So I'm going to uncomment this and remove this. And here we'll say. Actually, let's open template string and say bar space and $ curly braces or curly brace local storage dot what is it, get item, and that's the token, and close that template string. Or actually I need to close the curly brace and save. And also now we need to add the split thing, which should be actually, where is it? Yeah, here. So we need to use this split link thing. I'll explain to you in a second what it does. So I'll just copy that and paste it here. And we need this WebSocket link. Actually, we need all of these imports and paste them there. And since these two are from the same, actually, we already have that. And also we need to get split from Apollo client. Split What this does, basically, this is a function that checks whether if this is a query or a mutation, we're going to use the HTTP link. But if it's a subscription, we're going to use the WebSockets link. So we already have our WebSockets link there. And so we pass it there, and we have our HTTP link. Or actually, we need to, this HTTP link where we concatenate here, we need to do that up here. So here, we need to reassign our HTTP link. So say HTTP link equals that concatenation of the auth link and the HTTP link, which reminds me we need to change this to let for this to be able to work. And now we check between them, and then now we need to actually pass this split link as the link to our Apollo client instance. Now this sounds a bit complicated, and it is, but this is just one thing that you do one time, and then you configure the server, and for the rest of your life you're just going to be coming here and like type in the same. So don't worry about this, even if it's a bit complicated. So if we go back here to our app, now I saved and everything is running. There shouldn't be any error. I'm actually going to close this and let's go back. Now if I refresh the page and let's go to WS here for WebSockets, we see that there is a request or like a connection to /GraphQL. And if you go to messages, you see that it sent a payload with our token right there. So authorization, bearer, whatever. So now that the connection is actually open and we're listening to messages. So if we do receive a message right now, it will actually come through here. So I'm actually not going to try it now. I'll show you when we have something related to the UI. You see it already actually opened a connection to us to our GraphQL endpoint, and not the endpoint, the WebSocket endpoint. So now we need to actually subscribe to the new message subscription, and we'll do that on the home page. So let's go to pages, home here. We need to actually now get, where is it? We need to actually import from Apollo client, so at Apollo client, and we need to actually get the use subscription hook, and we need to also get GQL, and here we need to add our subscription. So let's go here and say const new underscore message equals, and here we'll use GQL template string, and we'll say subscription. And we'll get new, this subscription is called new message. Open that up, and this will call new message. And from there, we're going to get the UID, the from, the to, the content, and the created at. And now we need to actually call the use subscription hook and get data from that. And here let's go here and let's say const, and we need to destructure the data and the error. And actually, let's actually give these aliases. So I'll call this message data and this message error. And here we'll get these from use subscription, and we'll pass it the new underscore message like that. And that should be fine. Now we need to check for them. So I'm going to use use effect. So let's go up here and import that. So use effect from React. Let's go back down. Here we'll say use effect, and we'll have a callback, and we need to check for, actually let's check for the error in case we get one. So we'll say if message error console log message error. Now if we get data, so if message data, now we need to actually, what we're going to do now, we're going to do the same thing that we did from messages. So here where we sent the message, where is it? Here, we dispatch the add message and we add that message in our state. So instead we need to do this from the home now. So I'm actually going to remove it from here, because now when we send the message, it's going to be received through WebSockets as well. So we don't need to add it through here, because if we do it from both places, it's going to add it twice. So remove that uncompleted block. And here we can actually call that here, but we need to get that dispatch. And we need to give it a different name because we already have the auth dispatch here. So I'm actually going to press F2 here, rename this to auth dispatch. And we need to get the message dispatch. So I'm going to repeat this one more time and say use message dispatch. And we get that from the message context. And here we'll say, actually this needs to change. We need to actually set it first. So let's say const message dispatch equals use message dispatch as a function like that. And here we'll use the message dispatch instead. But now we need, actually we need to check for the selected user, because the way this thing works, we're sending a message to be added to a user, but we need to know to which user we're gonna add it. And we don't have, like, we might not have a selected user. It might be not the selected user that we are receiving a message from. We can do some simple logic here to find who the other user, the username is, so to know to which to add. So we'll say const other user equals, and actually we need to obtain our user from the auth state. So let's go up, and here where we get the auth dispatch, we need to get also the auth use auth state. And here let's get our current user. So we'll say const and destructure user from use auth state. And now we have access to our user. We can simply check if our user, our own user dot username equals the message dot to, which will mean that we sent this message. So the other user will be the from. So the value of this will be message dot from. Otherwise, if it's actually the from, that means the other user is the to. So we'll say message dot to. So now we get the other user's username, and we can pass that to the username here. So we're going to add it to the messages between that user and us. And this message will come from message data dot new message, like that. Now we need to add dependency arrays, otherwise this will execute, forever. So we'll give the message error, and also the message error, and also the message data as well. If either one of them changes, this should execute again. Let's save. Let's make sure we don't have any errors. Okay, it says message is not defined at line 38. Oh yeah, this is the message data dot new message. So actually, let's assign it into a variable. So const message equals message data dot new message. And now we can use it here. So now we can just remove this, because that's called message already. Okay, no errors. Let's check our app. I'm gonna refresh just in case. So we have now a subscription. So it's sent actually an operation new message. You see there's a third message to subscribe to new message. So now if I now send the message here, it should add it to the state. So just put some gibberish. There we go. It actually adds it to the state, and we see it there. I just noticed something. If we send a message here, this should change as well, because it's the latest message. So let's go to the message context, and here where we add the message, we can simply say we can actually assign the latest message as well. So latest message to that user is this message that we just added. Let's save and just refresh, even though it's refreshed, I think. So this is a new message and send. Cool, it changes here. Now, this is actually is coming from WebSocket. To prove it to you, I can log in with another user. So I'm just gonna make this window small. I'm gonna open Firefox, and I'm gonna log in with a different user. Actually, I'm just gonna put them a little bit side by side. Localhost 3000. I'm gonna log in as boss, because I've already done that. So now if I send from boss to John a message, actually I'm gonna go to that chat, it should be received. So I'll say, hello John. There we go, we get hello John. And if I say from here, hello boss, we get, oh, we don't get messages here. Interesting. I'm gonna open up the DevTools. Unauthenticated. Let's go to application. Actually, no, in Firefox it's storage. Local storage. We do have the token. Let me try again. Hello. Oh, okay, I know why. All right, let's go back to the code. Yeah, it's here. So where we set the token, so in the WebSocket link, this executes once because it's just instantiating a new class, a new object. So a simple work around this, again, we can refresh the page. Yeah, that happens only after you log in. So let's go to the login here. And we do the same fix that we did for when we log out. So here we set window.location.href equals /. Even though I have received like a comment from someone saying, you know, they don't like refreshing an app in a single page application, it's not good practice. Even though it's true, some of the benefits of SPAs, if you don't have to refresh the page, but sometimes you have to refresh the page where it makes sense. Even if you go to messenger.com and you log in, it actually refreshes the page before it lets you through to the app. And same thing when you log out. Go and try it. All right, so now even if I just log in right now, it should actually get that token. So I'm gonna log in as boss. If I say again, these dev tools are massive. Hello again. There we go, it's working. And if I go to the Chrome window, oh, okay, we got another error. Nice. Is it copied in the messages is not iterable? Okay, I think I know why. Okay, it's because when, for example, if we haven't selected Jane yet, she doesn't have a messages object. I mean, the object in the state, it doesn't. So if you try to add to it, it's gonna fail. That has a simple fix, which is, if we go to message context, yeah, here, this can be null, so we can't assign to it. So what, not this actually, it's this. So what we can simply do, we can check if this user has messages. So we can do a ternary. So if this is truthy, even though if it's an empty object, empty array, by the way, this will be truthy. So if that's truthy, we do set it to message and we spread the existing messages. And otherwise, so colon, then we set it to null. And this is okay because even if we set it to null, that means we haven't selected that user yet. It will fetch the messages once we select that user. So even including that new one that we just received after we opened the app. So now, if I refresh and I go to the to Firefox and I send a message to John, so a new message. I'm so not creative with these names. There we go. We get a new message there, and it doesn't error. And we fetch them from the ground up. A new reply. All right, cool. We get a new reply in Firefox. Nice. So our messages are being sent back and forth, and we're receiving them through WebSockets with authentication and everything. So that's done. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. For me, this is the coolest part about this entire series is the subscriptions themselves, because, you know, it's the new thing. And also we're going to be doing reactions soon, and that would be cool as well. And that would be with subscriptions, and it would be much easier because you will know what we're doing. So yeah, I hope you learned something, and thank you for watching. Please, again, like, subscribe, hit the bell button. You know what to do. And until next time, cheers.